That's when Bart talks about play within the offense. It's not about you getting bored with doing the same thing repetitive every time you get on the field. It's about you understanding that this is a fight. You have a top 10 defense. You have a special team that's playing fairly well. You have a run game. You have enough pieces around you. Just do your job. It's not about you getting bored about playing hero ball. It's about playing within the offense. There's 4 quarters of football you got to play. If you're able to play efficient in the first quarter, you got to keep that same type of energy and intensity throughout the game. And you see the lulls up and down, and it costs them. And what's frustrating, because at times, and I even blame the receivers and tight ends sometimes. If you see Zach retreating, put your foot on the brakes. You got to stop, because what happened was they played a zone, they mixed it up front, and they got after him. And Zach is looking for everybody. If you're a receiver going across, put your foot on the brakes. Stop. Give him a clear target. So they have to work better in that regard. But Zach, to what Connor was saying, a lot of this stuff is self-inflicted. So when you have the conversations week after week, is he the guy? Well, this is what they're talking about. Because in year 2, the little things have to they have to be suppressed, and you got to take the next step. And when you see a clip like that, you say, well, I don't know. This is why we're talking about the I don't knows right now in week 9. There should be no I don't knows.
Know you're down in distance, know where your first read is, and know where your outlets are. That's what you want to see from a young quarterback. The splash plays, like we started with, they're fun. Yep. They make the highlight reel. The other things we just said, they win you football games.
Yep.
I mean, the best to do it understands the coverage, right? So that tells you all the intel that you need to know, right? Because you need to understand the pre-snap recognition, understanding if that safety's rotating, what that means. Because if you see a safety rotate to cover 1 or cover 3 or fire zone, then you know you have man-to-man on backside X. Your mind has to recall and hold all that data of what the route combinations are, so you know what options should be open based on what your pre-snap recognition has told you. And when I see him burping a baby and starting to retreat, that tells me that his pre-snap recognition is not up to par. He's not getting the ball and understanding what's happening in front of him, because that would tell you, okay, well, they're doubling number 1, so I must have man-to-man cover, so maybe go to the rub route, because this guy's going to be underneath open, because now if they didn't banjo it, he's going to be running. It's going to be a foot race. So that's what it tells me. It tells me that he doesn't understand how to read coverages right now, and he's being confused, and he's been forced to holding on to the ball. When he holds on to the ball, he panics, even though if the line is doing a good job, he decides to try and buy time as his mind is trying to process what he thinks is going to happen, and it's putting him behind the sticks. And then what happens is he goes to familiar targets, right? Instead of going to who's open and who the defense dictates the ball should go to. When he panics, he looks for guys that he can count on. And that's what he has to realize. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts. Patrick Mahomes had to figure that out. Ben Roethlisberger early in Willie's career had to figure that out. That, listen, they're not just going to give you the easy, big stuff, the open, apparent stuff. You have to understand that guys are going to be open later, but you have to know what the coverage is. If you don't know the coverage is, you don't know where to look to go with the ball.